Good afternoon, Vets. This is Anthony Glenn checking in with the Sitrep podcast where we help you win in real estate. And today's guest is no other than Otis Bartholomew James III.
You know what it is.
Tell you guys, I've been investing in real estate for a long time, and I was looking for someone else outside of my business to help me learn how to be a better educator on how to acquire investment properties. And I came across Otis. He was playing some gospel music. I said, who the heck is this guy?
So 4 data points, it's the foundation of real estate. And it boils down into 4 questions. Anytime I'm reviewing an asset, I ask myself, what does it cost? What does it cost to fix up? What's it going to be worth when I'm done? How much income can it generate? Based on the answers to those 4 questions, I can take you all the way to the promised land. Well, yeah, a lot of people don't know this, but I was actually plagued with a chronic illness called handsomeness. And it's been a struggle,
See, this is the reason why, look, this is the reason why I was waiting on it for him to break loose, because he is being super, hello, yes, and I'm Otis, and I just want to let you guys
Very
know.
well then.
Look, this is not how he is, y'all. I'm telling y'all, he be cutting up. Now I got the camera on, now he want to be all professional.
Filth farm filth.
Good afternoon, Vets. This is Anthony Glenn checking in with the Sitrep podcast where we help you win in real estate. And today's guest is no other than Otis Bartholomew James III.
You know what it is. This episode brought to you by the people at Planned Parenthood.
We're going to act up fool today, man. Look, we had a wild evening yesterday. Otis just so happened to have a couple of tasty beverages with me. My friend has visited Southern California a couple of times.
Cutting up. It's very unattractive what we do.
But I'm super excited to have you because we got so much to unpack. So let's talk about how we met. We met on Clubhouse, right?
Hey, let me just say, look, bro, we be cutting up so much that every sentence that you start, like I'm already ending with the joke. But okay, let's go. All right, how we meet?
Okay, so we did meet on Clubhouse, right?
What was the name of the room?
I don't know, man. I can't even remember the name of the room. But
okay.
We did meet on Clubhouse.
Yeah.
And I was listening to you teach about 4 data points for your underwriting properties. Yep. And I'll tell you guys, I've been investing in real estate for a long time, and I was looking for someone else outside of my business to help me learn how to be a better educator on how to acquire investment properties. And I came across Otis. He was playing some gospel music. I said, who the heck is this guy? And then we enrolled 12 people into his company. Can you talk about how that got started?
Yeah, so I say me, right? There was just a lot of information floating around about real estate and how to invest in real estate. Mm-hmm. And what I started to notice was, there were a lot of people with some knowledge, in my opinion, not enough knowledge to be teaching it, but the way that it was being delivered wasn't in a way that was easily received. Mm-hmm. So I've always had a goal to make 1,000 real estate investors, right? And improve the quality of life for people that look like me. And I got to be careful when I say that, because I got to make sure that I note that I'm not excluding people that don't look like me, mm-hmm. But I saw a significant problem in a lot of these communities. So, there's a couple of development projects that I'm a part of. And one of those projects, I had to consider, okay, well, I had to write a proposal. How is it going to benefit the people that are already in the community, this disenfranchised community? Mm-hmm. And this was a while ago, right? So I had to be able to explain it in a way that people could receive it, right? Like me, you can't just give me a book and say, this is how you invest in real estate. Boom, read it, go be great. Because by the time I get to the end, I already forgot what I started in the beginning, right?
Right.
So I had to be able to filter it down to 4 basic questions. And these are 4 data points that if anybody that's heard me talking, I always start the teaching with 4 data points of real estate.
So talk to us about your 4 data points that you discussed in regard to investing in real estate.
So 4 data points, it's the foundation of real estate, and it boils down into 4 questions. Anytime I'm reviewing an asset, I ask myself, what does it cost? What does it cost to fix up? What's it going to be worth when I'm done? How much income can it generate? Based on the answers to those 4 questions, I can take you all the way to the promised land.
Okay, so let's break each one down. So can you talk about the first one?
Yeah, so the first data point, what does it cost, right? So if somebody sends you a deal, there's a number attached to it. Spoiler alert, that's what it costs. That also translates into what am I willing to pay, all right? So it's basically just an assessment of this is how much I'm willing to commit to this before it's no longer a deal.
Okay. And then, so another thing that I remember in the class is that the administrative stuff, all of the stuff that you have to keep you from getting in trouble. Out of all of these years, I've never heard anyone break it down like you have broken it down. Can you cover a couple of those, in twos? I know one of them, we could start with the lien waiver.
Lien release.
Yes, the lien release.
So there's 6, right? So the lien release is usually that's the last one because it's the end of the project, and it's a document that you and your vendor signed that basically says, hey, look, we're all settled up. I'm pleased. You're pleased. Let's go our separate ways. That's all it is. It's typically one form. You can download it from anywhere. All right. Now, what that prevents that vendor from doing is coming back and putting what we call a mechanics lien on the property, which is an administrative process to put a lien against the property, and that's what it avoids.
And that's pretty cool because I had this situation happen to me. What happened was I paid the general contractor, right? And then the GC usually have subcontractors, plumbing, heating, air, electrical, foundation, roof, and framing. And then outside of that, I paid the general contractor in a deal, and I didn't have my subs, I didn't have a lien waiver. So when they did that big concrete pour of $65,000, my general contractor did not pay the subcontractor, which was the concrete people. Can you talk about what other ways to protect yourself from that?
Absolutely. So first, you want to know everybody who's going to be on your property. General contractor, that's one thing. But even if you pay the general contractor, there's no guarantee that he's going to pay all the subs. So I want to know everyone that's on that property. I want to know if they work directly for that contractor, because if they do, he's covered. They're all covered. All right. If they don't, if they're separate companies he's outsourcing to, I got to have each one of them sign a lien release also. So that's the only way you're going to be able to protect yourself fully in that case.
And can you give us a overall snapshot at the 6 things to protect us and kind of like go into each one?
Absolutely. So when you're new, you're not going to get everything right. The vetting process for contractors, there's good ones and bad ones. 6 documents will protect you once you've made the decision and you're ready to get to work. The first one is the independent contractor agreement. You can only hold them accountable to what's on that piece of paper. If there's anything said after that, you send your vendor an email, say, per our conversation, X, Y, and Z, please acknowledge, slap it with the contract. The second thing is a scope of work. You gotta be able to detail what's going to be done. So I can take a contractor's estimate, just copy it over to a scope of work, have him acknowledge it, and it's just an itemized list of the items, how much each one cost. Okay. The third one is payment schedule. There's gotta be an understanding of when people get paid, right? That's one of my values. Make sure you pay people with the same sense of urgency that you wanted their service with.
And you don't pay that contractor before they do the work as well, right?
Oh, we're gonna get into that. I got something for that.
And today you guys are gonna know everything that you need to know about the VA benefit. There's nothing that you're not going to know today after you leave this class. So get ready for the flame because I'm gonna kick it like a sensei. Get ready to take some notes. You're gonna know everything that there is to know about the VA home loan benefit, how to invest, what type of units you can buy with the VA loan, and we're going to debunk all of this, okay?
So you have a payment schedule, right? So a contractor, he comes to me, he says, hey, I want another $5,000 to do X, Y, and Z. My response is always the same. Hey, I wanted to be a fighter pilot, but here we are. We're not doing that. Okay. So we manage expectations. The fourth thing is insurance. You got to make sure that they have insurance. The general liability, workman's comp insurance. You want your investment company listed as additional insured, point blank, period. The fifth thing is a W-9. Unless you want that all that you spend you want to pay the taxes on that, get a W-9 from the contractor and get it first, because if you try to track somebody down after you just gave them $100,000 to tell them, hey, I need that form so you can be taxed on it, well, good luck expecting them to pick up the phone. The last thing is a lien release that we just talked about. Always get a lien release. You can do it after the job before you issue that last check, or you can do it before you issue every payment along the way.
That's really good, man. So y'all got those big 6 things that you need in regard to protecting yourself from any issues during the contract. In addition, I want to add to that, make sure you inventory your waste during the process, because that's going to keep contractors from running off and doing things with your materials, right? Tell us how this whole James Street Capital got started.
Man, God just puts you in a bunch of different positions, and then you wake up one day and you've got all this experience, and they call you up to do something with it, right? I saw people wanted to learn about real estate. I didn't know people were interested in real estate. I was born into it. I've been doing this my whole life. I was 3 years old going to real estate meetings with my dad. So, and I was with, the largest multifamily operators in the world. I was a mortgage broker, real estate, all these different things, leasing consultant, worked my way all the way up to the regional level. So I enjoy improving the quality of life in communities, right? And that always starts with changing somebody's perspective, because there's too many people that are trapped by these limiting beliefs, and a lot of information that was kept from people that look like us. So it's just gratifying when you see somebody change their outlook on the world, especially when you have like single moms, people in tough situations, raising kids, doing the best they can, living check to check. I think that was the initial thing. And I started with just giving out a little piece of information, and then people started gravitating towards that. So I said, okay, well, let me make it in a format that people can actually process it, dissect it, and study it, right? And I was teaching managers in the multifamily industry how to run developments valued in the hundreds of millions of dollars.
Right.
So teaching came naturally to me, and I was in ministry for 3 years too after I flunked out of that after 3 years. But so I know people. I get a good read on people. So putting this information together in a way that's easily received came natural to me. So I said, now we have to structure it, and let's create an actual curriculum. And then we started to expand the curriculum. Then we started including multifamily commercial. So we took people that were beginners, they stay on with me until they no longer need me, really. But then they go intermediate, and then when they get advanced, they're still on with me. And then now maybe we partner and do some other deals and things like that. But it was just a natural progression of things, man. And it took a level of faith too, because it took a lot of my time. That means I'm not investing in my own stuff as much.
Right.
So, and it's still a work in progress, man. We're trying to be perfect. We're not yet. We're trying to be perfect and create as many real estate investors as possible, one way or another.
That's good. What is the single? Okay, now let's get to the nitty gritty.
Come on now.
So you have faced some adversity.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Everybody sees the diamond, right, out here investing and educating and all of those things. But what adversity have you faced to where people can relate that might be possibly in the same situation, that you can utilize as a testimony to inspire other people to continue down the path of becoming a real estate investor?
Well, yeah, a lot of people don't know this, but I was actually plagued with a chronic illness called handsomeness, and it's been a struggle.
See, this is the reason why. Look, this is the reason why I was waiting on it for him to break loose, because he is being super. Hello, yes, and I'm Otis, and I just want to let you guys
Very
know.
Well then.
Hey, look, this is not how he is, y'all. I'm telling y'all, he be cutting up. Now I got the camera on. Now he want to be all professional.
Filth, foreign filth. No, man. I went through some dark spaces, man. And that real estate debacle that happened in 2008. Man, I lost everything, and I wasn't that good of a real estate investor anyway back then. I was just doing it really. I just honestly just wanted people to see, oh, he's got a lot of this and a lot of that. He's got all these houses, he's got these nice cars. It was just an ego thing for me, man. And I think my self-portrait, and this is something I recognize in a lot of people, my self-portrait was damaged, and I didn't know it. So I was doing a lot of things to live up to this identity that I created, which turned out to just be all in my head, right?
Okay.
That real estate debacle happened, man, and I went through some personal life stuff and ended up, taking a job at a newspaper plant for $10 an hour.
That's crazy, man.
Bro, this is after making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year as a real estate professional, not even as an investor. Man, I went back to this newspaper plant. Hey, the Sunday paper where you got all the coupons. Do they still? I don't even know if they still do.
Yeah,
the Sunday
I know
paper.
what you're talking about.
So my job was to sit at the end of the machine and pack them coupons for 10 hours. And but man, I was on my parents' couch, and I was on there for 2 days. I lost everything, went back to my parents, and I sulked for about a day. The second day, I was like, I got to give God something to bless, man. Like, he's not going to come knock on the door. So he's going to turn it into a fire, but I got to at least give him a pilot light. So I said, let me do something, not even for the money, just for the sake of doing something. So I was doing that, man, and I did that for about 2 months. And I was on them And I was doing it with the right attitude, which I think a lot of people miss, right?
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Like I was doing it like they were paying me $100,000. Like people was in there making fun of me. You know,
Basically, if you're going to do it, you're going to be the best at it.
Exactly.
I got you.
Exactly. Especially if I'm honoring God in doing it, right? And I'm no saint, so you know I gotta pick my battles.
Right.
The ones that I could win, right? Well, I'm gonna honor God with this newspaper. I'm not honoring him other ways, but this newspaper right here. So, you know, brother, you know how brothers do when we in them type of jobs, man. They clowning and doing all this. Like, hey, bro, you ain't gonna make it a career. Okay, all right, well, so you know, but it was a test, right? Like, am I going to maintain a positive attitude? Am I going to continue to have faith that God
regardless
is
of the circumstances?
Thank you. So that's what it was, man. I think from there, one opportunity came about, then another opportunity came about, and another opportunity came about. And this is one thing, man, and I know a lot of us struggle with this, right? But when God makes a promise, he'll honor it. We'll change, and it's not contingent on, you know, how good we are and all these other things, right? It's just because of who he is. So, you know, I went from that newspaper plant to sitting in the Minister of Interior's office in Gambia talking about development projects.
I remember that. Yep.
Like how do I even write myself into that? Like if I had a script, there's no way that I can say, okay, you're gonna go from this to this.
I totally understand with that, because sometimes I feel the same way. Like I reflect on my life and I look back at everything and I feel guilty for being where I am sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like I can't believe that I was thinking too small.
Yeah.
For when the blessing is much bigger or the direction is much bigger, but sometimes you got to go through it to earn it.
Absolutely.
To receive it.
And let's talk about where you are for a second.
Oh my God, this guy.
Like, hey, I come down there, I stay with Anthony. Like I'm doing well, folks. I'm doing well. Look, you ever go to your friend's house? You ever go to your friend's house and be like, oh, I know he's doing well. And your house could fit in his house, in a portion of his house. Like where I stay, the space I occupy in Anthony's house is my house. That's what it is. So no, all that feeling, and he got orchards. He got orchards and all types of, like, I ain't got no orchard. I live in the Bay Area. So yeah, you feeling guilty, you get no sympathy from here. Or
this
anyone
guy,
else.
Man.
Are you sad today? Because yeah, no, we're not doing that.
That's funny, man. But I do really appreciate you coming down. Here's another hard question that I want to ask you.
Yes.
What advice would you give 21-year-old Otis today?
Oh God, that lunatic. Bro, honestly, I would say I was already a parent by 21, so I would say be very careful of the people you surround yourself with.
Mm-hmm.
Because they can be jealous and you won't know it. They can be envious and you won't know it. They can harbor resentment and you won't know it. And your reality is different than theirs. Because me, I'm always everybody's cool. We all cool, and no one would do this, no one would do that. But people can be around you and play and be good actors.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Right?
Oh yes.
I would probably, that's the first thing that I would do, man. And then I would also tell 21-year-old Otis, just worry about you. Don't have any expectations of anybody, because you don't know who people are until they show you, and they don't always show you. I probably have to talk to 21-year-old, and leaving women alone, 21-year-old Otis. Leave them alone. That's probably where I'll start with, but that would be a much longer conversation, because 21-year-old Otis would probably be like, what you know, man, you old. What you like, 40-something? Mm-hmm. That's 21-year-old Otis.
That's good, man. Well, I kind of have the same, and I think this is the reason why we become good friends, because I kind of have the same sentiment. Like as people are like fruit, right? If you take a fresh, and I want you guys to try this at home. Take a strawberry and put it in a bowl, right? And put fresh strawberries in a bowl, and then take one that is starting to deteriorate. What do you call it?
Deteriorate?
Yeah.
Or decompose?
Yeah, that's starting to
get rotten.
Yes.
Okay.
Put it in that bowl and then see how that rotten one starts to affect the other ones. It's very swiftly. So you have to be careful and remove the people. Either they're with you or they're not with you. And if you don't know where they stand, they're not with you.
Exactly.
That's the best advice that I could, piggyback off what you just said, because there's a lot of people, as you're growing, naturally the rotten fruit are going to fall off the tree, and you have to be You know, you have to be prepared for that. And I think another thing too is forgiveness. You know, that's a big one for me. You know, regardless of how people treat you, you still have to forgive those people in order for you to have it. And that forgiveness is not for you, for them, it's for you.
Bro, we talk about that all the time. And folks that try the strawberry thing, you need to ask yourself what you're doing with rotten strawberries in your refrigerator. So clean that out after your experiment and then come tap back in with us. So at my workshops, the first thing that we talk about keys to success, right? And there's a lot of them, right? I think when you bring them all in together, now you start developing a formula depending on your area of expertise. The two things I always start with is give and forgive. I am where I am because of how much I give. I can say that 100%. I am where I am because of how much I give to people. And God has to honor his promise. There's one time in the Bible where he says, test me. And if anybody has any more information, reach out and correct me. But I read the Bible 4 times. One time he says, test me, and it has to do with giving. Malachi 3:10, he says, test me in this. And he talks about bringing your tithes into the storehouse. Mm-hmm. Then he will pour out blessings you will not have room enough to receive. I promise you, let me give you an example, because we could talk about scripture all day, right? This is one example. This happens 100% of the time. I went to Napa when all these fires, when California was burning down. Mm-hmm. Took my daughter out there, and just so we can go to the hotel, get in the pool, she can get out of the house. I go to the front, and I'll interact with somebody, and I won't know what it is. The first instinct that I get is, there's goodness in this person. That's the only way I can describe it. I'll be minding my own business, and I'll look at somebody, and I'll watch them for about 5 seconds, and I'll say, there's goodness in this person. That's my cue to go help that person. This one particular situation, it was a woman. It always gets tricky with women. You just can't go help no woman because, it just looks, hey, baby, let me let you hold something. Right? There's no way, right? So I'm going up to the front desk, and I was asking a question about the pool. There was this lady up there, and I was like, yo, she's really taking a lot of pride in her job, right? Like I like that. Like, be the best that you can wherever you are. So I get up there, and it hits me, this is the one. So now I have to steer the conversation to find out how I'm supposed to help, because I'm not just going to hand people, to find out what it is.
Right.
So I know how much I need to help too, right? Mm-hmm. So we do some small talk, and I said, hey, something about her birthday. Oh, I asked her if she had kids, because I had my daughter. I said, hey, you got kids? She's like, yeah, as a matter of fact, my son's birthday is coming up. I was like, that's my in.
Yep,
right?
yep.
And I was like, oh, so what are you going to do for him? She goes, well, we're going to have to postpone it because, my husband's been out of work, and my son wants a game console. I'm like, that's not going to happen. So before she told me her husband was out of work, I'm digging, right? Like, wow, I used to love those game consoles. We used to get on those and play for like 10, 15 hours. I already know what it is, right?
You already knew you were going to bless them, right? Yeah.
So she goes, well, then she says, my husband's out of work, so we have to postpone his birthday. Mm-hmm. I said, oh, okay, all right. And then I make sure I change it to the topic, right? So then I come back and say, hey, I'm still there. We finished talking about what I needed to talk about. I say, hey, my kids, have you ever heard of, what's it called, Venmo? It's Venmo. It's like an app, and you can transfer money. Anthony, I transfer money 500 times a day. I know what Venmo is.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm like, I got to send my kids some money. Can I try to send you, put your information in there. I'm going to send you $1. Just tell me if you receive it, because I don't want to send it to the wrong person. She goes, yeah, absolutely. So she did it, right? So I'm starting to walk away, and I send her a certain amount.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I usually get away. I didn't know she was going. So I hear her scream, and she comes back. She's got like tears in her eyes, and she goes, "Can I just give you a hug?" And I said, "Oh yeah." And now I feel weird still being there, because I'm usually bounced, right? So I said, "Yeah, no. When he opens the game console, just have him take a picture of it, send it to me, so I can see how excited he is." So then I'm walking back to my room, and God says, "You ain't done." And I said, Are you sure? Because I feel the amount was enough, and I'll be trying to talk myself out. We still good? We okay? I'll be trying to talk myself out of, you know what I'm saying? So he goes, you ain't done. And then he says, she told you her husband was out of work, so they just gonna have a game console and still be out of work and all this. And so I said, okay. So I went back and I sent her some more money, and I just sent her a note. Because as a man, I know how it feels not to be able to provide.
Oh, that's big. It's powerful.
And not being able to honor your child's birthday magnifies that times 1,000. So I sent her some more money, and I just wrote her a little note and said, "Hey, this is for you and your husband. You guys go out, dinner on me, make a whole night of it, and then, God bless or whatever, and then I left. And she called me on the way out, and she came back, and, I get home. I check the mail. There's a check for $14,000 from the IRS. From some amendment one of my CPAs did for 2014. That happens, and I just laugh. That happens 100% of the time.
That happens to me too. When you have situations like that, I remember this time where I was in the money was a little tight, and I automatically send my tithes in to church, right? And then basically what happened to me is that I had a calling to send more money. So it wasn't much money. I mean, a couple of $100, but I sent more money in that moment outside of what I was supposed to already do. Yeah. And then when I got home the Monday, I didn't get anything, but then the following Sunday, I was asked to tithe more. I felt to tithe more. And then after that, I got a big deal that I was working on, 2 deals that closed, and then I got like 4 pre-approvals. Yeah. Nice. So it's kind of crazy how stuff like that works, because it happens to me too. You have to be obedient. And going back to that forgiveness thing before we wrap up, the context of 4, think about it. That means that whatever happens to you, you already forgive them before they do it to you, right? Because the one who has conquered it all has already done everything for you. Absolutely. So, man, this has been a really, really, really good podcast, brother. I'm glad that you came. I got a question for you. What information would you like for people to know about you that I did not ask you? And then how can they reach you? That's a good question. I'm going to change the landscape in a lot of communities in this country. And I'm going to have enough power and influence to do it to where you don't know it was me. That's something that I'm really trying to be better at, is doing things anonymously. Because of where I meet people sometimes, that's not always possible, but to do it anonymously. Yep. Right? So, you can reach me at otis10k.com, www.odis, D as in David, not a T, otis10k.com. It has all my information in there. We do workshops. I have a course coming out. It's in development right now. We do virtual workshops. We do in-person workshops. And I mentor right now. I'm mentoring 235 people. What's the text number real quick? Can you give me the text number? Yes. The text number is not memorized. I'm sorry, y'all. Listen, hey, that's how you know it's real, man. I want everybody to have this, though. The text number is 408-539-8263. So just send me a text, and I answer people's questions too. Like, I understand people are in a bad situation and can't always afford to go to a workshop or do some of these other things. I invest probably 15 hours a week on some of these platforms, just teaching people how to invest in real estate. So if you're interested in doing that, then, I would encourage everybody to come and reach out to me, and let's chop it up. Man, thank you, Brother James, for coming. I really appreciate you coming. Yeah. And then you can reach me at anthonysocial.com, where we help you win in real estate. This has been a magnanimous podcast. And guess what? Coming to a theater near you, we do have a VA home loan masterclass that's coming October 28th. And we do them every month, y'all. So if you guys want more information, join our Facebook group, Win in Real Estate, and also hit us up at anthonysocial.com. We're out. Peace. No, we're not. I'm not going to let it in. You ever have a guest that just won't let it in? Like, he got snacks here, snacks and drinks,
refreshments.
Scooby snacks, we got it all. Today, you guys are going to know everything that you need to know about the VA benefit. There's nothing that you're not going to know today after you leave this class. So get ready for the flame, because I'm going to kick it like a sensei. Get ready to take some notes. You're going to know everything that there is to know about the VA home loan benefit, how to invest, what type of units you can buy with the VA loan. And we're going to debunk all of this, okay?